Hello there, I hope you're doing well. Today I am drinking the October teas from my Sips by box that I just got. We are drinking the Harvest Apple tea by Aista Teas. I'll leave a link of that in the description below if you want to check that out. It tastes like apple pie. So grab yourself a drink, brew your tea or your coffee, and let's get started. So today I'm really excited to give you this video. I've been waiting to record this one. I'm going to show you how to make this travel tarot mat / tarot bag. It doubles as a travel tarot bag and a mat so you can read on the go, and it's customizable and incredibly easy to make. I have everything that you might need in the description below, so I've listed that just in case. Today I have Maria with me, so I'm going to be teaching her how to make this mat alongside with me. So first, you're just going to need a fabric of your choice. This can be cotton or silk or whatever you like. I'm going to be using these two fabrics in the spirit of Halloween, and this may or may not be the giveaway. And these two are the ones that Maria is going to be using. The next thing, you're going to need something to close your tarot bag with. So this one I'm using a stretchy band, but you can also just use some nice ribbon such as this. But I'll show you how to use both of those in this tutorial. So the first thing you want to do is measure your tarot cards and figure out how big you want your mat. Maria's cards are smaller than mine, so she's making a smaller tarot mat. But again, it's totally up to how large or small you want your mat to be. And I personally like my mat to completely cover my cards so that it gives it more cushion when I put them in my bag or take them with me. So this particular mat that I'm using here is 19 by 13 inches, but remember to leave seam allowance. So when you're making your cut, if you want to make this exact same length, then cut 20 by 14 so that you have that extra seam allowance when you're sewing them together. So we're going to start with Maria's tarot bag. I'm going to walk her through how to do this, and we are going to wrap it just like you saw in the first tarot mat of just with a ribbon. You want to take your fabric and flip it onto the wrong side up, meaning whatever pretty design you have, you want it facing downwards so that it's easier to mark where you're going to cut. So as I said before in the beginning, Maria's cards are much smaller than mine, so we're just kind of folding over the fabric and getting a general idea of where we might want to cut. And again, you don't have to use the dimensions that I personally used, so try it with your cards, see where you want to cut, and just remember, cutting more fabric than less than you need is always better, because you can always cut more off, but you can't add it back. So once you have that first piece, just lay it straight over your next piece, and don't worry if you didn't cut completely straight, because you're going to be sewing these two together and flipping them inside out, so as long as you sew somewhat straight, it should be fine. If you have pins, I recommend pinning these two pieces together so that it's easier to use as a stencil and it doesn't move around. If you don't have pins, then anything like clothing pins or bobby pins or even those black office clips can actually work too. So once you have your two pieces cut out and pinned, keep them pinned, because now we're going to figure out where to place the ribbon that's going to hold our tarot mat closed. Grab your ribbon and we're going to figure out how much we need. And I don't really have a certain length. Again, it depends on the size of your cards, but to figure it out, just put your cards in your mat and wrap them up as if your mat is finished. Use the ribbon to wrap your cards together. However much ribbon you'd like to use, it's totally up to you, but I find that wrapping them around completely twice usually works pretty well, leaving a little bit of a tail so that you can tuck it in and secure it. Once you have your ribbon cut, measure the shortest side of your tarot mat if you have a short side, and find the middle point. The middle point is where you're going to secure your ribbon. So this part can be a little tricky. You're going to put your ribbon in between your two pieces of fabric with the right sides facing together. So once you have that middle point, put the ribbon right in the middle point in between the two right sides of the fabric and pin it into place. So then when we flip it inside out, the ribbon's going to be on the outside. This is where it starts to all come together. So now you can either hand stitch it or use a sewing machine, but just sew all the way around, leaving a gap like this. So notice in the corner that I did go around the corner. This just ensures that there is a sharp corner, and I would back stitch over where the ribbon is a few times just to make sure that it's super secure and it's not going to go anywhere. So leave a little opening so that you can flip it inside out and then hand stitch that closed later on. Teaching Maria to sew. There you go. So real quick, before we completely finish off her tarot mat, I'm going to brush over the band method instead of the ribbon method with my own tarot mat that I'm making here. So just like the ribbon, you're going to take a measuring tape or some kind of ruler and find the middle point of the shortest side of your tarot mat or wherever you want to secure your band. And again, just like the ribbon, you're going to secure it in between the two pieces of fabric with the right sides facing together. The only difference is that with the band, you're going to secure both ends so that you can wrap it around and secure it, kind of like a hair tie, but just make sure that it's not twisted in a weird way. So here, just secure it with a pin, and same thing like the ribbon, go over it a few times just to make sure that it's extra secure. But other than that small detail, everything is pretty much the same, and after you've run it under the sewing machine or hand sewed it together, sewing all the way around, getting all of those corners, and leaving that extra little gap so that we can flip it inside out. To make sure that you get really crisp, sharp edges, I like to trim pretty close to where I sew. Just be careful not to trim where the thread is or it will all unravel. Cutting off each of those corners makes it a lot easier to get a really sharp corner when you flip it inside out. And once you're done here, I completely forgot to do this when we were making these tarot mats, but I like to run an iron over the edges and flatten them down, because then when you flip it inside out, it comes out a lot cleaner. So this is the part where everything comes together. You just pull through that small gap that you left when you were sewing so that both of the right sides come out. I like to use a pencil or some scissors and poke out the corners so that I can get that really sharp, crisp corner. Lastly, if you have an iron, just go over it quickly. Like I said, it's a lot cleaner if you iron down those edges before you flip it inside out, but it doesn't really make a huge difference. So just ironing out all of those wrinkles and all of those bubbles, I guess, the poofs that the sides kind of get, but that will come out due to time as well. Then you're pretty much done. Now, of course, you can hand sew that gap closed. I did have some people give me a really great idea of slipping papers with sigils inside there, and you can either sew that closed or continuously switch them out, but I personally like to close mine. So that is how you make a DIY travel tarot mat, so you can easily take your tarot mats on the go, and if you're a quilter, you can also put some of the quilt batting in there to make it even softer. Some of you have some wonderful skills embroidery, so I would love to see some of those things implemented in this tarot mat tutorial. If you create one of these tarot mats, please, please, please show us what you made, because I love seeing all of your creative ideas and your personal twists on things, and share that with the hashtag Wonderlust Coven on Instagram. All of you have such amazing posts, and I absolutely love seeing everything that is on that hashtag. But that is all that I have for you today, and I hope that it becomes just as nifty as it is for me. Other than that, as always, I will see you in the next video. Best of luck, be kind to each other, and may your gods treat you as you've treated others. Bye.